Hello, hello, hello. Welcome to the High Conflict Co-Parenting Weekly Q&A. All right, so when you get on, please let me know if you can hear me okay. Can you hear me and see me okay? Hi, Sarah. Hello. Yeah, can you hear me and see me okay? Can you just write a yes in the box somewhere? Excellent, Dana. All right, so this is the High Conflict Co-Parenting Weekly Q&A. Thank you. Thanks for letting me know. So all questions to do with high conflict co-parenting. And I've got a few questions here, but if you do have a question, put it in the comment box, but make sure it's just maybe 1 or 2 lines maximum so I can have a chance to read it and get to you. Okay, so the first question that somebody has submitted is, my high conflict ex constantly trying to use the special event to get extra days, but now he thinks his brother-in-law's wedding should be considered, but I don't consider that my son's immediate family. So I'm not sure if you have a parenting order in place or not, but if you do, then it needs to state what happens on special days. I mean, special days are usually mother's birthday, the child's birthday, the father's birthday, Christmas, Easter, whatever public holidays, Mother's Day and Father's Day. Special days aren't really for weddings and things like that. I mean, you really have to use your discernment if you want to allow that. But my personal advice is, if the child is with you and that's your parenting time, unless you want to start a precedent, because unfortunately if you give an inch they do take a mile, and they'll use that for future. If you allow it once, they'll expect it every single time. So I would say, me personally, I would say no, purely because it will set a precedent. If you were dealing with somebody who was quote unquote normal, then they would maybe take it on a case by case basis, but if you give an inch, they generally do like to take a mile. Somebody asked, parallel parenting, but the ex is demanding monthly sessions to discuss the child. Now, I'm not sure what you guys would do. Monthly sessions to discuss the child are not necessary, in my opinion. That's just a way to gain supply and to monopolize your time and monopolize your energy. And, you know, I don't know these individuals. They would just all follow the same patterns of behavior. So it's likely an opportunity to get supply from you, to maybe hoover you in, to talk about the relationship or the breakdown of the relationship, or how he messed up, or how he has changed, or whatever it may be. So hi to everyone that's just joined. I personally don't think monthly sessions to discuss the child is necessary. Use an app, use email, use text. You don't need to be having monthly discussions about anything. Okay. Someone else asked, supporting a friend who is in this situation. So if you're on this live, you're likely in this situation yourself. But if you have a friend who is going through something like this, and it's the same thing when they are going through narcissistic abuse or any kind of abuse, they need to know that you are there for them. They need to know that you support them. They need to know that you hear them. You don't necessarily have to understand what they're going through firsthand, but you need to support them and be there for them and not push them. Maybe direct them to pages like mine, direct them to resources that will support them and help them through. And it depends how forthcoming they are as well. If they want your help and support, let them know that you're there, but try not to probe and push, because sometimes people just want to deal with things in their own time, but just hold that space for your friend. Okay, any other questions that you have? Because I'm going to go through a couple more questions. Okay, Dana, do you think it's okay for the dad's girlfriend to tell the doctor's office and school that she is the stepmother when she is not? Okay, I guess there's a few things there. It depends, how long has she been the girlfriend and how long has she been in your child's life? Is it a 5-year thing, 10-year thing? I tend to think if they're living together and the person is in your child's life on a daily basis or regular basis, and it's a serious relationship, it's a tough one. If it's a year or 6 months and they're not living together, no. If they're living together and she is like in the stepmom role without them being married. I personally think that that is a stepmom type person, but that's just my opinion. You really have to use your own discernment. If it's been like 6 months to a year, probably not. 5 years, 10 years, 3 to 5 years, and she lives with the dad, then she is in stepmom role. But maybe just a bit of coaching for you is ask yourself the question of why that matters to you. Like, what's the impact? Oh, and she's done that since the beginning. Yeah. And how long has it been, Dana? Because doing it from the beginning can mess with the child, and it does depend on the child's age and their understanding. But if she's been saying that from the beginning and she goes away after a year or 6 months or whatever, then that can be kind of detrimental to the child. I hope that helped, Dana. I'll wait for you to respond if you have more to add to that. When the kids were 3 years old, and so how long has she been in your children's lives? And it depends if they're affected by it. If they come to you and they're confused, then that's a problem. If they don't come to you and they're not confused, then maybe it's just you that has a problem with that. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with that either, but they're 10 now, okay, for 7 years. So she's been around a while. Yeah, she did it from the beginning. So in the beginning, that was probably the time to say something if you feel that she overstepped the mark. That's 7 years. That's a long-term relationship, I would say. If they've been consistently together for 7 years, it might have been on and off. Knowing who your ex is, it likely was on and off. I'm not too sure. But if she's a staple in their life, I don't see that as a problem now, but in the beginning, definitely so. That's just my opinion. The dad blocked you. Okay. Yeah. It's to be expected. Not easy to hear, but that's just how they are. That's what they're going to do. So we just have to find our ways to deal with these things and have our tools and strategies in place to manage these situations. And ultimately, it's the child. So the communication, if the dad blocked you, the communication needs to be with the child to explain the relationship. And it depends. If she is toxic or unhealthy, emotionally unhealthy, then that's a problem. So she's saying bad things about you, so that there is a problem with that, I would say. She's just as toxic as your high conflict ex. You don't say that to the children, but clearly she has no boundaries. So in order to fix that, I know it's been going on for 7 years. In order to fix that, you really need the tools and strategies in place to help your children cope with hearing those things. Because hearing something about someone you love, especially as a child, is going to affect you. And the girls are afraid of their dad, yeah, naturally. Hopefully you can hold space for them and you're there for them and they feel comfortable to speak with you and share how they're feeling. 7 years is a long time, but it's never too late to kind of instill healthy coping mechanisms in them. Let them know that you love them. And the fact that she's saying those things, it's abuse by proxy. It's her enabling your high conflict ex, and she probably should stay out of that and not say that you're crazy. But that's what emotionally healthy people would do. They wouldn't even go there. Yeah. So I hope your children, you find a way to support them through that, because it's ultimately them who suffer. Okay, somebody said the barrage of abuse that happens immediately after divorce. That wasn't really a question, it was more of a challenge, I think. The barrage of abuse that happens immediately after divorce. So this is something that I covered in my group coaching call this week. I asked a question because when you are in the situation and you are preparing to leave, you're very welcome, Dana. You may and may not know what you're dealing with. It's shit when you're in it, and it's a shit show after. But I do not want that to put you off making the decision to no longer be with an abuser, a difficult person, a high conflict person. You are teaching your children that this is unacceptable when you extract yourself from a situation like that, or they may discard you. But I lost my train of thought, sorry. Oh yeah, that was it. Barrage of abuse. So yeah, when you're getting divorced, I mean, say it like this: your high conflict ex dislikes you. I'm saying that in a nice way. So they will say and do anything to try and destroy you. Unfortunately, and some of you may not realize that, some of you know that fully to your core, that they will try and destroy you at every given opportunity, but do not allow that to stop you proceeding with divorce, with parenting orders, with going down that route, or even getting a protection order if that's something that you feel is necessary. Doesn't mean that it will necessarily be granted, because unfortunately within the court system they don't see necessarily this kind of abuse as abuse and a threat to your safety. So in lieu of that, you need to armor up, and the abuse that happens, it is what they do, unless they're distracted with new supply, but they always circle back. So it's getting those coping mechanisms in place, those tools, those strategies for yourself in order to deal with that. Okay, sorry, a few questions have come up and I'm just going to try and get to them. Someone said, caught in trauma bond and constantly think of her. I know she was toxic, but she was sweet when she wanted to be. Yeah, I mean, that just sounds like you're describing a classic narcissist to me. You're going to have to find a way to break those trauma bonds. I have a few videos on that from a while back. But it takes you doing something. They don't just go away on their own, unfortunately. You don't just wake up one day and you're no longer trauma bonded. That's just like you don't wake up one day and you're healed. You have to actually do something different to move forward with your life if that's what you want. Otherwise you will constantly stay in that state of trauma bond if you don't change anything and if you don't do anything. It doesn't just go away on its own. Okay, I hope that helped. Currently broke up with my toxic ex. What are some strategies you recommend with the healing process? I have a lot of IGTVs on that, Martha. It's too much to say in a quick comment here, but focusing on yourself, focusing on yourself is key. It's not necessarily getting back to the person that you were before, but you become an up-leveled version of who you are, so you get stronger from your core. But again, like I said to the previous person, you have to do something. It doesn't just happen after a year, 2 years, 3 years of sitting there, living your life in a normal way that you are right now. You have to do something. There are lots of different things that you can do, but it takes repetition. You have to do it and make it an intentional decision every single day, whether it's journaling, meditating, yoga, exercise, therapy, coaching, breaking trauma bonds, visualizing that. All the things, and it's not just one thing either, it's usually a combination of things, but you need to be intentional in your decision, and you need to also have a big vision for what you want for your life. If you don't know what you're healing for, then there is no point in you healing. Like, you won't see any point, you won't be motivated to. So I hope that kind of makes sense. My husband, yeah, your husband has some bruises on his thigh. Well, if you didn't do it, then he either did it or someone else did, but you probably have to ask him about that, inspiring goddess, because he knows best about what happened to him. And if you didn't do it, then you need to ask him how he got them. Sounds a bit sus to me, though. Any other high conflict co-parenting related questions? Somebody asked, do they ever change? I have IGT videos on this. No, they don't. I would say if you're waiting for someone to change, you'll be waiting until death. If somebody says they're going to change, wait for the actions to match their words, but not once, not twice, not 100 times, for the amount of time that they have been who they are. So basically a lifetime. I hope that kind of made sense. So basically, no, they don't change because there is no motivation to change. They just change victims. That's easier. Why do some narcs just disappear? Because they have supply. You're no longer giving supply, so they go elsewhere for it because they need and crave that adoration from someone. So if you're not giving it or they discarded you, then they will go elsewhere. They cannot be alone for a prolonged period of times. Okay, so the very last question before I sign off, somebody said it's impossible to co-parent unless it's his way, and she has a lot of anxiety. So It was likely impossible to parent unless it was his way. It was likely impossible to do anything unless it was his way. You're very welcome, new me. It was likely impossible to do anything, so this isn't a surprise, and it shouldn't be a surprise. And I know that, again, might sound harsh or whatever, but I always give real talk. I'm not going to sugarcoat anything. The facts are the facts. So it's impossible to co-parent unless it's his way. You have a lot of anxiety. Yeah, you're going to have to get to a place where you have some things in place to set yourself up so that you keep that anxiety at bay. You are not shaken by whatever he says and does. You have your boundaries like cast iron and in place. And, you know, it's impossible to do anything with someone who is high conflict, because if you say, I want to go this way and this is what we're doing, they will say the complete opposite. Even if you said the sky was, blue. If you said the sky was blue, they would say, no, it's actually an aquamarine. Something pathetic like that. I know it sounds stupid, but that's just how they are. You still think about him 5 years on, yep, you need to break the trauma bonds. Like I said to the previous person, if you're just living your life and you're not doing anything to heal, to move forward, to get past this feeling, then nothing will happen, nothing will change. Okay? It takes you intentionally making the decision. And like I said before, have a vision for where you want to be in your life. I don't necessarily mean just in your healing. What are you not doing because you're wasting emotional energy on this person and these thoughts? You're stopping yourself from living your life and maybe meeting someone else because he is still stealing from you emotionally and energetically. Okay? Yeah, Lottie, parallel parenting. Yeah, whenever I say co-parenting, I actually do mean parallel or counter-parenting, because co-parenting doesn't exist. I know nothing about co-parenting because that needs two emotionally healthy individuals who have the best interest of the children at heart. And when you are with a high conflict person, co-parenting, that doesn't exist. So that's not even possible. Each and every time I have to talk to my kid's father, he'll do everything in his power to say something to get a reaction. And sometimes I really have a hard time not engaging with him. What can I do? Fafa, that's what I teach the members of my group in the coaching. I mean, there's not one thing I can say. It's making the change every single day and putting things in place every single day, armoring up, bounding up, setting yourself up for these situations, and always being, and this may be hard to get your head around, always being 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 10 steps ahead. You know the patterns of behavior, set yourself up for that and prepare. You know, he knows he's going to get a reaction from you, so that's why he continues to do it. If you limit those roads, they cannot do anything, like literally. I mean, they can try, but it's not going to penetrate you. Again, that's something that you need to learn. It's a skill that we need to pick up. We assume that because we're parents, we know. Yes, you know how to love your children, you know how to protect your children, but you do not know, and nobody teaches you, and nobody teaches us how to co-parent, parallel parent, counter-parent with someone who is high conflict. Okay? Even the BIF method that we all learn, or that you may be aware of, it doesn't give you the full picture, because it's really designed for people who are both out for the best interest of the children. And if you have one person who is and one person who isn't, it isn't very effective. So it's kind of an incomplete picture. That's just my opinion. That's what I found personally, and also with dealing with these kind of people. And you're working on that. Good for you, Manda. It's a work in progress. As long as you're making steps to doing that, then that's the best that you can do. Yeah, you keep tabs on his new supply. Yeah, so you are not living your life, you're living in the past. And it's not just him taking your emotional energy away, the new supply is as well. And the only person that can stop that is you. Okay, no more questions, I think. Manda, I'm separated with 4 kids he has because he wouldn't let them come with me. Oh, he has them. It's been rough. Yeah, so that's the thing. When you say he wouldn't let them come with you, it's always good to know, how did he stop you? Did he use the courts to do that, or did he just say? Because whatever you want to do, they always want to do the opposite, and they throw their weight around. So did the court say that their kids have to stay, or did he just say it? Because what he says is just what he wants. He has his own agenda. He doesn't have their interests, best interests at heart. You're very welcome, Monique. So I'm going to be going live in about 10 minutes in my private Facebook community. It's for women only, specifically for high conflict co-parenting. You can find the link for that in the stories of my page if you want to join. I'm doing training on that, on speaking to third parties, specifically third parties about your experience and your high conflict co-parenting challenges. So third parties are friends, family, therapists, counsellor, psychologist, psychiatrist, lawyers, mediators, doctors, school, whatever it may be. So I'm doing some training on that in my group. Come and join if you want to join along in about 10 minutes. You don't use Facebook? That's okay. I may upload it to YouTube because I also have started a YouTube channel. Reluctantly, I'm adding more to my plate, but that's okay. I'm just finding a way to churn out information in an efficient way. So if you're not subscribed to my YouTube channel, go to the link in my bio as well, because I'm going to have some videos and training there on high conflict co-parenting, everything like that. You're welcome, Menda. I can't remember what I was going to say, but yeah, third parties, how to explain your situation. And also third parties are not created equally. Some people need more information, some people need less, and it depends how you deliver it as to whether they actually understand what you're saying. So that's the training that I'm going to be doing. And just want to say, trust yourself. You are the best and most healthy parent for your children, but there's always more that we can do. There is always more that we can learn. It's the skill to be able to communicate with your children effectively, depending on their ages, in an age-appropriate manner. And it's a skill learning how to deal with high conflict X without engaging, without providing supply, and without doing your head in. Okay, I can't think of a better way to say that. You're very welcome, Califo Abbey. So yeah, with that being said, I hope you have a great day or evening wherever you are, and I will see you next week for the next live. And I will save this on my page as well. I will see you soon. Bye bye.